Hi, are you interested in slowing down aging and maybe thriving until the last breath? Well, I'm Rusty Cottrell, physical therapist. I've been into anti-aging since I was 15, and I had a 30-year-old ancient teacher at the time. I thought so. Beat me in a 5-mile run, and I thought, I better learn what he's doing. And I've been learning ever since then, and I'm 68 years young now, and I've been into this whole process of learning and processing everything I can to be able to thrive until my last breath.
And you've been a physical therapist for how long?
I've been a physical therapist for 45 years.
That's a good long time. And I'm Debbie, and I am a dietitian of 42 years. And I too have been into anti-aging. So originally when I was doing all my continuing ed post-school, my major goal was to learn as much as I could about prevention. That's what we called it then. And now we call it functional medicine. All my continuing ed I put into that because I wanted to know how to stop disease from the get-go. I didn't want to be putting Band-Aids over symptoms. I wanted to stop the disease process before it even got started or even showed itself in the body.
We want to thank you for tuning in today, and we're hoping that you're blessed by the information that we share today.
And like we want to thrive until that last hurrah, we want to see you thrive as well. Today we'd like to share with you one of the most critical components of our diet that is sadly missing in most everybody's diet. When I think of this particular thing, I think of a house illustration. We have an empty lot next to us. Just imagine you wanted to build a house there. You would deliver all of the lumber, the pipes, the windows, everything, have it dropped off at the lot. Would it go anywhere? Just sitting there. Well, you would need tools. So let's say you had tools dropped off. Would it still build itself? What would you need? You would need workers. Workers would need to come to help put that whole thing together. It's akin to our diet. We think in terms of some of the major components, fats, proteins, carbohydrates. That's like putting into our body those major building materials. If it's devoid of the tools, the vitamins and minerals, it's not going to go very far. But there's a critical component that a lot of people have forgotten, and that's enzymes. Those are the workers that actually put all those things together. Tell us more about the enzymes.
Well, in a sense, we're all born with a certain level of enzymes, and if we don't intake more, we run out faster.
True.
There's a story, we learned this years ago, it was a story that Dr. Pottinger put together about a study he had done on cats. And I'm sorry to you cat lovers, but this was years and years ago.
Probably wouldn't be acceptable today, but
right.
It was then.
They had five different food groups that they were going to feed the cats, in a sense. The essence, I'll break it down to two separate ones so it's easy to understand. Essentially, 2 of the groups had raw elements in their diet, and the other 3 had no raw, only cooked and processed food to eat.
They all had a baseline of just kibble, right?
Yeah, the baseline, yes. But it's fine. The difference in their diet was raw versus cooked, processed.
Raw milks versus like canned milks.
Exactly. So they studied them for 4 generations. Essentially, in the processed and processed food group, the first generation had chronic diseases in the golden years, essentially, in the cat life, right?
Yeah, later in life.
The second generation had the same chronic diseases at midlife. And the third generation were born with it or soon after infancy. There was no 4th generation because they were sterile, or the cats, the newborn, were stillborn. On the raw side, they had 4 generations in a row with no chronic diseases, no diabetes, no heart disease, none of that. They had a cold or flu, but nothing else. So in a sense, it's kind of showing the importance of having enzymes in your dietary intake.
So tell us a little more, because when we're thinking of raw versus cooked, how do enzymes play into raw versus cooked?
So we shared another video, you can check it out, but we talked about sprouted buckwheat, and we sprout because we want to get that raw enzyme explosion. You don't have to sprout everything to have enzymes, but it just makes it even better. But essentially, if you cook a food over 115 degrees, you basically are killing the enzymes. Vitamins are still there, minerals are still there, but the enzymes that help digest and process that food are all destroyed with cooking.
So the recommendation today is at least 50% of your plate, let's say, being raw food. So if you have, let's say, your cooked foods on one side and your raw foods on the other, when I notice typical dietary patterns, we're seeing primarily just cooked food on the plate. And that is devoid of the enzymes. And again, those necessary workers for putting all of that food to work in the body. So why do people survive? Because there's enzymes in the body.
They're born with a bank account, in a sense.
Yes.
And they're using those up really fast. It's
so
like
each of our
two,
cells.
two brothers, they inherit $1 million. One spends it like it's never gonna end, and the other saves and preserving. And so at the end, one has more than the other. I'll tell you a funny story. So we started at 50, I went to 80% raw, and I was experiencing super good health, and I was traveling on a trip, and I went into this Thai food restaurant, which I rarely eat at restaurants because I'm so particular about my food. But I went to this Thai food restaurant, and there was nothing fresh. And all I had was cooked food. I went out of that restaurant feeling almost sick. And I know you don't, because maybe you eat a lot of cooked food, but when you're used to something really feeling really good, you start to notice when you're not feeling super good. It's one of the hazards of being too healthy. Anyway, I found a store, and I found a whole big thing of sprouts for like 4 people. And I ate the entire container of sprouts. Within about a half an hour, I felt better. I don't call that psychological. I don't know, but it. I needed that raw food in my meal.
There may be times, obviously, when somebody's eating out and they can, that's all they have. But it's over the long haul.
Yeah.
And again, borrowing from the body to put the proteins, fats, and carbohydrates to work, you start to deplete the body, and the body starts to suffer.
One of the ways you can really tell is we had a thing where we had people over for Thanksgiving. You probably never had a raw meal for Thanksgiving. Well, we did. We had a whole group of people, and we warned them, you're going to get raw food for this Thanksgiving. They said, okay. We all ate that, and they all felt incredible afterwards. No one fell asleep. No one had almost a hangover from eating too much.
Yes.
Everyone felt fantastic. They said, let's do this again next year, because they felt so good. And so try it. See what you experience when you try at least half your plate raw food, and just see if you don't fall asleep afterwards or don't feel as sluggish.
So the interesting thing about eating that type of a meal, a raw food meal, and still having energy afterwards, the body knows what it can do. So if there's a lot of enzymes in the food, it's working to break down that food, and the body doesn't have to work as hard. When there are
takes energy to work.
Less enzymes, the body has to work harder. So the body says, essentially, I can do one of two things. I can either keep you awake, or I can digest the food. Well, I need the food. I need these building blocks. So I'm going to put you to sleep so that I can digest this food. And that's why people get sluggish after eating a big meal with a lot of different cooked foods. So we hope this was helpful to understand the value, the importance, the criticalness of having a diet that has enzymes in it to be able to use all of those building materials to help your cells to stay healthy. And we hope that it's something that you gradually start to work into your diet so that you can thrive.
Just so I know there's someone out there going, well, your body does make enzymes, right? Well, yes, your body does.
Different kind of enzymes.
You can make endogenous enzymes for anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory.
Yes.
But that's not what we're talking about today.
Different enzymes.
We have another video you can watch about that.
Yes, to understand it better.
Right.
In the interim, may your life be one that thrives and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Be sure, if this has spoken to you, to hit that like button so we can get the word out to more people, and subscribe so you don't miss any other episodes.
We want you to thrive.
Aloha.